Hey y'all, it's Matthew Temple. I got a haircut and a sort of shave at the barber, clipping anyway. Someone on YouTube very rightly suggested, after watching my video describing the fact that I have a psychiatric evaluation tomorrow, that they said, shave, see a barber, and try to control your movements, dress professionally, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I hadn't been thinking about that stuff, but they're totally right. If I walk in there with the haircut I had yesterday versus this haircut, the person evaluating me is going to read my words totally differently. Um, that's just the fact of it, you know. It's and no one tries to hide that. I mean, that's not a conspiracy. On every psych eval form in the world, there's a checkbox that says uh, nicely groomed, bathed, things like that. I mean, your grooming is a standard. This is just standardly considered a part of your psychiatric state. So, I mean, I had to get this haircut. Even though I went in there and the woman said, "What do you want?" I said, "Just make me look as conservative as possible. Make me look like a normal American male." She's like, "I can do that." And I'm like, "Awesome." So here's what this video is about. It's about it's about joy. It's totally about joy. I have decided that after this psychiatric evaluation tomorrow, regardless of the results, I'm gonna have a talk with my mom, and I'm going to tell her that I am moving. She and I have lived together for not even a couple of years, and we lived together in Baton Rouge, and we had a great time, and we were joyful, and there were a lot of different factors that went into that. Part of it could have been that neither of us was working, so we just had a lot of time to watch TV and make food and have fun. I really do think that was part of it. I don't know that I can explain it all. I don't think I was any sicker, or that I'm any sicker now than I was then. So I really don't think that my psychiatric situation is to blame for. In fact, I think I was probably sicker then than I am now, which might have been part of why we were getting along better, in a way, because it may be, and I'm speculating, but this does happen a lot with people. Mom, forgive me, I'm speculating about your feelings, but it may be that that she is more comfortable with me when I am in need, and she is the caretaker. So when I am the one who is sick and the patient, and she is the one who is strong and the caretaker. And I think her behavior underscores that as a likely dynamic between us. But I guess I just have recently come to a tipping point, a final realization where I realized that she and I are festering, and I don't think it's right to continue to fester. I think when people are festering, that they should make a change and not fester, because what the video is about, it's about joy. I want my life to be filled with joy. I know it can't be joy all the freaking time, but I'd like it to be as much joy as possible. And, I'm not somebody that found out about Deepak Chopra when I was 16 and have been meditating and doing yoga ever since. I'm a scumbag. I used to shoot cocaine. I used to shoot crystal meth and heroin into my veins. I've done cocaine, I counted one time, 5 different ways. You know what I mean? I've tried to kill myself. I've threatened people on occasion. I beat somebody up in a psychiatric hospital. I'm not somebody who does that, but this guy, he was just asking for it, and it was in a psych hospital, so I figured different rules applied, and I kicked his fucking ass, which is weird, because I don't even fight, And the only fights I've been in are, in the 4th grade, when 4 or 5 guys piled onto me and kicked my ass, you know what I mean? So, whatever, but the point is, the point is I'm a scumbag, but I'm a scumbag that stopped shooting drugs into my veins 10 years ago, and hasn't done any heavy drugs in 5 years, and stopped drinking alcohol 2 years ago plus, and and is on a path even when I was doing those things, but including the cessation of those chemical addictions. I'm on a path of wanting my life to be filled with joy and gratefulness and prayer. And I'm living in a situation right now where when I say thank you, my mom shuts me down. Like she took me to get this haircut, and and by the way, she said, well, I mean, it's not going to make any difference to the evaluator, but if it makes you feel better, then sure. And I'm like, you don't understand the situation. It's going to make every difference to the evaluator, whether I look like a crazy person or a person with a 3-month-old haircut versus a person with a 1-day-old haircut. It's going to make every difference to a psychiatric evaluator. But anyway, I said thank you to her afterwards, and here's exactly what I said. I said, thank you. I appreciate you taking me. And she interrupted me there, and she said, you already said thank you. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, over thank you. I did not say thank you more than one time. I didn't say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then she said, and then she said in this theoretical example, I didn't say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then she said, you already said thank you. I said thank you one time. And then I said, I appreciate blah, blah, blah. I was just being grateful. And she said, you already said thank you. You already said thank you. It's like she's not receptive to my gratefulness, and that's bad. But what's worse is I believe that she's not only resentful. I get a lot of resentful feelings from her. She's not only resentful, but I believe she's resentful of my joy. Like when we're in a conversation that has a neutral tone, and I say, and she asks me how I'm doing, and I say great, instantly her tone drops. And she does not support what I say when I say I'm doing well. She never says, oh, great. She doesn't even say, well, that's great that you feel that way, or, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't even, maintain silence. She critiques what I say, and it's like become evident to me, or it seems to me that not only is I just feel like she's resentful of me based on her actions toward me. And I feel like specifically, and I find this really bizarre, but I think she's resentful of my joy. And she's not a joyful person right now, and I don't want to be around that. She's a person that is slamming drawers as a method of communication and won't tell me anything about her life. Like, we don't ever talk anymore or whatever. And I don't know if she is too afraid to kick me out because she's thinking, well, this isn't working anymore or whatever, but she doesn't want to be the mom that kicks out her son who has multiple psychiatric problems. So I'm gonna cut it, and it's gonna be difficult for me. But because especially with the tardive dyskinesia, it makes it very difficult to move. So moving, carrying a bag, even carrying a bag through an airport, this could be very difficult for me. But I'm gonna do it anyway, because what's more important than so I'm going to go live with my friend Davina. And she said, what was the word she used? Opulence, I think. She's like, oh, whatever, I can't find it. But she said, the one thing that I think is a downside is you're not going to have the opulence here that you're used to at your place. And yeah, Mom and I, we have an opulent apartment, no doubt. It's really nice here. We live in Nashville. Everybody's friendly. The healthcare here, the psychiatrists and whatnot have, on the whole, been really great people, and all this stuff. But I said to Davina, I'll take joy over opulence any day. And I know that everything isn't going to be 100% joy at Davina's house, but Davina and I respect each other and support each other, and I'm happy when she's happy. I think that that's the most important thing you do for a person in a relationship, is help that person, support that person, and help, and grow that person into more of who they want to become themselves, whether it's a marriage or a friendship or whatever. I mean, if you help me become more of who I am, then that makes you my great friend, and that's my job with my friends too, is to help you and support you and love you into more of who you really are, and that is far from what is happening between me and my mom right now. We're not loving and supporting each other into the best people we can be. We're just strangers passing in a hallway, slamming doors. I'm not slamming any doors, but she is. And and that's it. That's it. So life is not set in stone, and I guess I've been fearful to make this change for a lot of reasons, and I don't want my mom to interpret it as me disliking her or anything. My mom's the only person on that side of the family that I talk to anymore. There are hardly any people, well, one of my cousins, but like I hardly talk to anyone in my family. My mom happens to be my favorite person in the world, actually, and I don't know if she knows that, but but if it's not working, it's not working, and it's just not working. And I think this is a way to salvage our relationship and maybe let our relationship grow in a more long distance sense. And as far as me being safe, yeah, maybe it's safer for me to be with mom at this house in a physical sense, but. And I think Helen Keller, if you read her quotes, you'll see why I mean this, would agree with me. Life does not guarantee security. Security, as she says, is, I'm paraphrasing, of course, is not something that exists in nature nor among people. It's not just, it's a made up concept. There's really no such thing as security. And I'd rather, I mean, you could look at my life and say, well, when are you going to settle down and find a place to live and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'd rather seek joy and never know where I'm going to live and move my entire life, than like live in Nashville for another joyless, resentment filled year with my mom. That's just not how I live. It's killing my spirit, and I will not allow my spirit to be killed. There are psychiatrists where Davina lives, and there are grocery stores, and I can hopefully get my healthcare moved with the way the ACA works, get an exception because I've moved to be able to get new healthcare. If my healthcare, I guess, won't be covered up there, but it'll get worked out. And you know what? Here's the other thing too. I don't want to come off my medicine. I do not want to. I am a person who for 5 years or so has been 100% committed to taking my psychiatric medicine. I mean, like, people come on and off, and that's okay, but like I don't ever even miss a dose. You know what I mean? Like, I've got that shit on timers in my phone. It's not that I believe that psychiatric medicine is necessarily the best way to go with some of these diseases. It's just that that's what I've decided to try right now. And so I do it, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the T. So, I mean, I take my medicine like clockwork, but if I have to stop for a little while because I don't have health care, that's okay. It's happened before when I moved to Baton Rouge. Yeah, it took me a while to get health care set up in a new state, and I was so scared that when I came off my lithium, instantly something bad would happen. But that's not going to happen. Instantly something bad is not going to happen. It's about the long-term trend. Yes, I want to be on a mood stabilizer, an antidepressant, an antipsychotic, and a pain medicine from my, like, baclofen, basically, and maybe one other thing. I mean, I take 5 different psychiatric medicines, but whatever. But the three, I want to be on the big three: the mood stabilizer, the antipsychotic, and the antidepressant. But if I'm off of them for a few months, nothing bad is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that delicate of a situation mentally. I mean, yes, I'll notice if I have to stop taking my antidepressant, I'll notice that I'm more prone to crying and whatnot. But it doesn't mean I'm going to kill myself, because I won't get depressed for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Anyway, because I mean, this stuff affects you. It's not just the immediate chemical effect in your brain. It's the fact that you've now had the experience of not being depressed for 5 years. So you're used to coping with life and not being depressed. So, I've had my Lexapro dose adjusted a million times during this 5-year period, and sometimes it's been adjusted really low. and I'm really crying, but it doesn't make me suicidally depressed. You know what I mean? Partially because I'm just now used to not feeling suicidally depressed. You know, I'm just like, I've developed some new patterns. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure there's a million fucking things that I forgot to say in this video, but it's already 15 minutes long, and that's enough pain to inflict on anyone.